shared a post recently talking about that the future of recruitment is where effective technology meets sophisticated skilled human interaction, where another one of your great phrases that I'll borrow and repurpose, where art marries science, if you will, which I love that phrase, right? And I think it applies to so many things, not just recruitment, so many things in life, but particularly in recruitment. You know, there has been a fear around technology replacing, right, and automating, and therefore we need less people, or we need less skills, or less consultative coaching, and all those sorts of things. So tell us a bit more about that idea that you have around that it's where that art meets science. What do you mean by that?
Very poetic, wasn't it? I do like those words. Yeah. It goes against the grain, but I'm a deeply sensitive guy, so that's why that came out. But it actually is indicative of a very important concept and my belief. And I don't fear for a moment that recruitment will be replaced by technology anytime soon. Not for a moment. If it wasn't for COVID, the actual sales of the recruitment industry globally have been going up year on year. And we've been told, I mean, I was told, and I'm older than you, that the internet would destroy recruitment. And then I was told that job boards, would destroy recruitment. And then I was told LinkedIn would destroy recruitment. And we never made more money than when these things came along. And then I was told social media. And then we've been told that artificial intelligence. Well, there's virtually no AI in recruitment yet. What's in recruitment is automation. Mm-hmm. And that phrase about art marrying science and the blending of the two is actually very pertinent, because I do believe that we need the best technology, the technology that's going to automate that part of the job that can be predicted. If something can be predicted, it can be automated, and we should automate it. We should allow machines to do the part of the job that they can do better than humans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The thing is that then will free up time for the actual humans to do that part of the job that humans can do better than machines, which is influencing you to go to an interview that you didn't want to go to, but I could see the match. I get you to go because I sell it to you. Truthfully, you go, you love it, you get the job. When a machine can do that, you and I can retire, but it's not going to happen. You should never say never, but I can't see it happening anytime soon. Quite the reverse. So, interesting story that goes to the heart of this. One of the companies I'm involved in fact, I founded it. It's called People to People. I've never done a day's work in it in my life. I've only ever been on the board. And some people say that's one of the reasons it's been so successful. I do no work in these companies. And it's, it's like a $100 million company now. And I was sitting in a board meeting, and the company had introduced a chatbot. This is a year or 18 months ago, more, 2 years ago. And the chatbot was on the website. It was nicely framed in the sense that a candidate could choose to speak to somebody or talk to the chatbot. Ironically, most people asked to speak to the chatbot, and the chatbot is very simple. It just asked 5 or 6 questions and allowed the candidate to ask 5 or 6 questions, like, is this job in Melbourne? Does it pay 80,000? Do I need a degree? Whatever. 5 or 6 knockout questions either way. And then what it allowed was a lot of candidates self-selected out. They said, oh, this isn't for me, thanks, and they went. No human interaction. Brilliant.
Yeah.
But if they did get through that and wanted to, they could then connect with a recruiter. And then the recruiter would already know that this person was sort of in the frame, at least.
Yeah.
Anyway, sitting at a board meeting, CEOs, I've known for 25 years. I hired him as a graduate trainee 25 years ago. Now he owns this business. He said, the chatbot has saved us 250 hours a week in consultant time. And everyone in the board cheered and clapped, except me. And then they looked at me and thought, oh, God. And I said, that's great. What have the consultants done with the 250 hours? And there was dead silence. And then the conversation began, because that's the important thing. Just saving the time, I'm not excited about. What have they done? Have they spent that time now returning candidates' phone calls? Have they gone and seen more clients? Have they engaged with more people? Have they written more content? What have they done that drives the business forward? And then the conversation was all around that. And that sums up in a very crude way, where and it wasn't a very sophisticated chatbot, but it in terms of the fact that a chatbot in itself, when they first came along was revolutionary. It saved the recruiter time, and then we invest that time in doing things better. And the things that the recruiters can do better are the influencing, selling, persuading, advising, consulting, and creating outcomes skills, which machines can't do as effectively. And that is why I talk about the marrying of the two. We do need, it's hard for owners of recruitment companies. And remember, I wear that hat as well. I'm the owner of several, and I'm sitting in these boards and stuff. There's so much technology. There's so much rec tech coming along. Some of it sounds sexy and doesn't actually deliver. Others are not well presented, but actually are quite useful. And recruitment owners are getting somewhat kind of blasted with all this. And some of them are going, it's just too hard. Let's go back and get on the phone. And actually, that's not a bad thing, that part. But you actually want smart technology that integrates with the human thing. So, you know, one of the companies I work with is JobAdder, which is actually an ATS. And they're looking at, for example, technology that will, once you've got a candidate on shortlist and she has 2 interviews and then she doesn't get the job because somebody else did, that the technology will take her background, run it through their database and run it through the client and go out onto the internet and scan jobs and come back to the recruiter and say, here are 4 companies recruiting somebody exactly like this. Right. Now that's great technology, but then it takes the human being to pick up the phone and call the client and say, I've got somebody brilliant who's just gone to 3rd stage with IBM and or whatever. You probably wouldn't say that, but you know, here they are. And so there's your example of the marriage, right? The technology opened the opportunity, but the human influencing skills got the candidate at the interview. And that excites me about the future. It does. So the recruiter's job's not going to go away, but some recruiters who don't have those skills, they won't cope.
Yeah. Or we need to train and coach them to develop those skills, right? And I love the story you said about I love the story you said about the board meeting where it all went quiet, because it's like replaying, you know, when I worked, you know, in recruitment companies previously, I remember having those conversations when the first, like you say, when the internet first came in, or when we first had, you know, auto dial phones from the computers, and we analysed all this time that they were going to save by doing all this new tech. And yet nobody had asked the question with, great, now what do we do with the time that we've gained? And as you say, that is the important question, right? Especially
that is the question.
And when people are freed up from the stuff that they're not good at, you know, that they don't enjoy, that doesn't give them any, you know, all the love that we talked about earlier, right? But the good people, if they go and do all the stuff they love doing, talking to people, coaching people, brokering those relationships, right, then they do more of that because they get lit up by what they do love doing. Yeah, so I think it's, and I do love the phrase. And look out for it on a social media post from me soon, Greg. You will be quoted. I promise you.
I will. Well, if you quote me, I'll be grateful. Most people steal my phrases and put them out as their own, so I'll be grateful.
I never steal. If I see something I'm inspired by, I always give credit to the person who's inspired me. I think that's important. Let's whiz through because I'm conscious of time. Let's do a couple of more questions. Then I also want you to tell us a little bit about what you're doing to develop and coach people to be those kind of recruiters that we need for the future, which you're going to talk about. So let's take one from Angela Cripps from the recruiting gym over in the UK that works globally as well, that I do some work with as well. So what frustrates you most about the recruitment industry as a whole? And you've touched on a few things already, but if you could pick one thing.
Yeah, Angela Cripps. I think I know her. She has been to my talks, and she's. I'm aware of her. She interacts on LinkedIn. So Angela. Look, there's a lot of things. The final child of mine that lives at home is 1 bedroom away, and he's a good example. I love him, but he frustrates me, and that's how I feel about recruitment, right? So I love him. You know.
See, we were talking about love. You see.
Yeah, of course. You were right all along. So. I'm frustrated by inertia in our industry. I'm frustrated by people, and I've been part of them, you know, part of it myself. Of course, I'm equally as guilty. But I'm frustrated by people by those in our industry who get stuck in the paradigms of the past and won't evolve. Mm-hmm. And that can flow on to things like dropping margins for volume in a nonsensical way. You know, if you're losing money on one transaction, getting 20 of them doesn't make you money. It just means you lose a lot of money. And people do that.
Yeah.
So I'm very frustrated by competing in our industry on price and speed. You've got to be valuable. You've got to provide value, and you've also got to be urgent. But we want to compete on quality and access to unique candidates. And so that flows on to multi-listed job orders is the single biggest driver of negative outcomes in our industry. Everybody loses. Everybody loses when a client gives the same job. I got no problem using your company to recruit their accountant and my company to recruit the marketing dude, or even your company to recruit the accountant and my company to recruit the chief accountant. That's fine. Just don't make us compete on the same job, because it drives speed over quality. And it means that recruiters fill one job out of 5, which is the average in the UK. And that means recruiters are not getting paid for 80% of the work they do, and that is farcical. And it means that the clients lose because they get rushed work, not done quality, and they also don't get the consultants' full commitments. I mean, why would you give a commitment if the client's given the job to 4 agencies? But the candidates lose too. One of the biggest, I'm fond of saying this because it just makes the point. Recruiters don't come in the morning, or they didn't before COVID, have a meeting about how we're going to piss off our candidates this week, guys. I want some fresh ideas as to how we're going to piss off our candidates. They want to do a good job. It's just that you're so busy only filling one job out of 5, you don't get back to candidates. And so that cycle of regret and misery is perpetuated. And it's driven by multi-listed job orders. So that is something that I would change. I think, and that flows on to the entire attitude to candidates' interaction. And I don't only mean just treating people with respect and all the things we spoke about earlier. I just mean we've got to change our definition of a candidate. For most recruiters, a candidate is someone looking for a job. That is a candidate, but that's not a candidate. The right definition of a candidate is anyone who has the skills that my client will hire. Whether they're looking for a job or not, it's just a matter of timing. Somebody looking for one next week or next November or January next year, and you're still going to be a recruiter then. So we need to start engaging with people and building up rapport with people and credibility with people, even if they're not looking for a job. I mean, I've heard recruiters say, I won't talk to her, she's not looking to move yet. If she's got the skills, talk to her now, so that when she wants to move, she comes to you, and then you have that big advantage over everybody, what I call a unique candidate, which is a candidate who hasn't gone to job boards, isn't applying direct, and hasn't gone to other recruiters. If she's got the skills, you'll place her. And people have got to start thinking that way. So these are some of the frustrations. I also get frustrated with sometimes the hubris I see in our industry. It's better now than it used to be. Maybe COVID has given people a slap across the chops, but we just got to stop talking about how great we are and how many years we've been in the industry and how much better we are than the competition. It's just not positive in any way. Let's focus on, doing a good job and making the difference, and then the rewards. Let other people say you're good, not you. Is my advice.
Your candidates and clients should be the ones telling everyone how brilliant you are, right? When they've found the right person and they've found the right job, and that speaks for itself, doesn't it? And I think, one of the things we saw during COVID, which I found very encouraging, is how much the recruitment industry came together and supported each other, and that is something I would like to see carry on, that collaboration. Like you say, if actually we work together and we can fill different jobs with a client, then why not come together and work together and support each other?
Right.
And that's something I'd like to see more of. Of course, what often happens is we do that when times are tough, and then when things get better, everyone goes back into a bit of, I'm all right, Jack, and I'll look after myself. So I think it's something we need to keep talking up, all of us that are in the industry.
I agree. And you're right. I was actually very happy about the attitude of the majority of people in our industry over that time. There was a lot of arms held out to help others, and there was a lot of positive interaction. And I think it should go forward. I think people need to understand that the other recruitment agencies are not actually your competition. Our competition is the clients who would rather recruit themselves. And we just need to understand, and even LinkedIn, who, by the way, are not in love with agencies, they have a much bigger game afoot, which is really about connecting candidates with employers directly. So we need to think about that rather than the agency across the street, and even if they are competing with us, I think it should be like a football match where once you're on the field, you give it 100%, but actually there's a level of respect that is bigger than that. And that would be a great thing for our industry. Stop talking the opposition down and rather talk our industry up.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, and that's something else that I think is really key, as you say. On platforms like LinkedIn, recruiters, generally not being very kind about other recruiters does not help our industry or our profession as a whole. We need to speak, as you say, do what we do it well, talk about that, and do it, and let the profession rise. Don't try and knock other people in the profession down. And we won't talk about football anymore, because over in the UK at the moment, that is a subject that is a whole other podcast around that. So I'm going to finish on, and then I want you to tell us a little bit about the academy that you've put together. But I'm going to finish with a question from Simon Lewis. There were loads more questions, by the way, so apologies to anyone who asked one who hasn't had a chance to put it to Greg. Is from Simon Lewis from the Members Only network over in the UK, which again I do some work with. They a fantastic example of recruitment leaders coming together and supporting each other and being very collaborative. And the community Simon's put together is very, very supportive to all its members and partners as well, including a lot of tech partners that they bring in as well. So his question was, and he said this is slightly controversial, and I think he's brought it up on a couple of webinars recently, is around commission structures, which we haven't really talked about today. Is the individual commission scheme dead, was his question.
I think I know Simon's name as well. I may have interacted with him. By the way, just to finish off, I should have mentioned this. A big thing that frustrates me about the recruitment industry, just one final thing, is that we don't invest enough in training and developing recruiters. So that is something we've got to get better at. But to answer Simon's question, no, it's not dead. I don't know why he thinks it is. It's not dead, and it's nowhere near dead. A different question might be, should it be dead? And what's a better way to do that? I think there's a couple of things I'd say about commission, the way people are paid in the recruitment industry. What we'd like to see may not be what is feasible, first of all. And secondly, it's deeply dysfunctional as it is. For example, in this country, I don't know whether it's the same in the UK, most managers and directors are still paid a majority of their income on their personal billings, and a smaller percentage of their income on the performance of their staff. Why the fuck you would do that? It beggars belief. Right? You've got to, here's the thing, if anyone wants to know anything about motivating people as far as money goes, which is only one component, but as far as money goes, you need to reward them financially for the things you want them to do. You might say, well, duh, that's obvious. Well, if it is so obvious, why would you reward a director managing 10 people, 90% of his income or her income on his personal billing? He will take the best jobs. He will spend more time on himself, because at the end of the day, he's got to pay his mortgage. So if you want someone to actually invest in coaching, training, and developing your 9 recruiters, pay them for the overperformance of the 9 recruiters. And there's a whole lot of work to go into that. But, I've made so many mistakes on that front, but over the years, I've developed some pretty, I think, the right way to do it. So I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing is, and we're seeing it already, that recruitment companies that have very little else to offer their staff are simply pulling the one lever available to them, and that is raising the percentage that they pay on commission, which drives selfish and destructive behavior, but also brings the company close to liquidation because you need to get those numbers right. And I won't go into it now. I certainly can do a whole webinar. I talk about it every day, but you need to cover the person's salary, and you also need to cover the cost of the seat, as I call it, which is the cost to have a person in the business, not including their salary. And then you need to return to the business. And if you increase the individual commission to a certain point, you no longer can do that, particularly if you carry lots of underperforming recruiters. And that's another thing. When does a commission structure kick in? I mean, if I was to pay you 30% of your billings over 3 times your salary, that would be fine. I could pay you 40%. But if I was paying you 25% of your billings from your first dollar, pound, euro, whatever it is, I'd go bust.
Yeah.
And you would be amazed at how owners of recruitment companies don't get any of the stuff I've just said. So in answer to Simon's question, absolutely not. It's not dead. I see no sign of it being dead. I see small signs of people trying to get the balance between individual and team better.
Yeah.
I see people splitting the job between recruiters versus resources. There's a lot of different language around those two things, candidate side, client side, and then splitting fees and therefore a little bit more teamwork. But it is still the case, universally, mostly, that people's reward component is linked to individual performance. I think you've got to understand that you should never believe, notwithstanding the fact I said, Rebecca, that you've got to pay people according to what you want them to do. That is true. You should never believe that commission structures, any payment structure, will drive all the behaviors you want. You need to reward high performers accordingly, but you need to demand compliance to the ethos, values, and processes in the business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a management issue which has got so wrong. So it's almost like, hey man, we love you. You're the greatest recruiter we've seen, and here's a great commission structure. But you need to understand this is a great business. And if you want to be part of this business, we behave like this. It's like you want to play for the best rugby team in the world. You want to play for the Springboks. You want to play for the All Blacks. You want to play for the Wallabies. You want to play for England. I'll say that. then I have no doubt, and I've never played rugby at that level, that you've got to have the skill and the performance, but you've got to have the ethos to behave in a way that team wants. And if you don't behave in that way, you can be a superstar playing in the reserves.
Yeah.
And that's how we should run recruitment companies.
And yet we see so often, and I've seen, and you'll have seen through your career, so many times where that is ignored because they're billing high, right? And it's
ignored all the time. It's ignored all the time.
Yeah.
And you're so right. And I like to say, I've always got a phrase, haven't I, that fees never beat ethos. So as soon as you say, this is the way we behave, I run this company and this is how we behave around here, and these are our values, and these, except for Rebecca, she can basically do what she wants because she's a high biller and I'm scared she's going to leave. It completely and that happens all the time, and you just alluded to it. It completely undermines the fabric of the business. Everyone sees the hypocrisy, and eventually the team disintegrates and you'll be left with just that big performer.
Yeah. So that's, so I mean, a huge topic, like you say, and I think something that all recruitment owners and leaders need to continuously be looking at, right? Along with, how do we manage performance? I think, like you say, sometimes the money side is a lazy way of managing people. It's a lazy way of leading people and developing people, which in our last 5 minutes together brings us nicely on to talking about, you said earlier, we need more development, more training, more coaching in our profession. And just to finish off today, just to give you an opportunity, because you've pulled something together that kind of offers this to the profession.
I have, and it's not the solution for training in its entirety at all. I'll say that. I'll just talk about that generally first. I think as an industry, and I've been guilty of all these things, I've got better at over the years. We are very poor at inducting people into our industry. We're very poor at supporting them in the early days. We measure them on the wrong things, like has this person billed in the first 3 months? That is not a good indicator of their ability to be a recruiter long term. You and I could start in a recruitment company on the same day, and you could have a placement or two, and I could be a much better recruiter and have much more potential and not make a placement, but I get fired and you get kept. That is literally what happens in many cases.
Yeah.
So I think we have to be far better at recruiting people, but also at training, coaching, measuring, role playing, developing the skills. Every person we hire, we have to take the view they're going to succeed. And if they don't succeed, they're going to fail fast, but we're going to have given them every opportunity to succeed. We're going to throw everything at them, and we don't. And, one of the reasons for that is that, the majority of recruitment companies in the world, 80% at least, have less than 10 staff. The owner or two owners are doing everything. They're busy. It's hard, I know, but it's led to this 50% staff turnover, this awful cycle of people coming and going, which is very costly dollar-wise, very costly to those people who've been put through the thresher and come out the other end, beaten and out. And also very costly in terms of clients and candidate service and repeat business. And it's just a catalog of negativity. So I think we've got to train people better. What I've done is put together something with a very grandiose name that is actually quite simple. We call it the Savage Recruitment Academy. And what it is the last 5 masterclasses I've done, which I've done all over the world, and many people in the UK would have been to them. And 3 of them are on recruiting skills. And one of them is on the billing manager, which is the most difficult job in recruitment. And the other is for directors. And then there is also a lot of short clipped videos training, a lot of podcasts and videos, and podcasts and webinars on particular topics. And also we're adding new content every quarter to it. So it is not something that I would say to anyone that's called, you buy that, and then you say your training solved. No, the training is much more than that. And coaching is actually better than training. But it does give you a great foundation where you can put an individual through components. You can show a segment to the team and then have debate and discussion. And it covers a lot of, the way I talk and the way I think. It's very hardcore, commercial. This is how it works type training. And it's very affordable. It's a subscription, and I can't remember what it is actually. It's on the website, which I'll point to you in a minute. But it's, it'd be like a couple of £100 a quarter for 5 recruiters, or even less than that. So it's not a big amount of money. If you use it, you'll get the return. And I encourage people. So it's called the Savage Recruitment Academy. If you go to my website, which is gregsavage.com.au, you'll be able to buy the best book in recruitment that I've ever written, which is called the Savage Recruitment. Or top right, you'll see the Savage Recruitment Academy, and you can just simply subscribe with a credit card or whatever it is, and in a way you get access immediately. And as I say, it's a small component of an overall plan you should have, but a very strong component, I believe. I think obviously, I think it's very relevant stuff.
No, I've had a look through, and I think it's great. And like you say, very accessible, very affordable. And I think what you said there is really important. It's one component, but it's a good if you've got nothing, as of so many other things that are on offer at the moment, if you've got nothing, it's a good place to start. And if nothing else, it just gives you a framework to then start some coaching, to start some conversations, to start having some discussions around something different to what you know. Right, and to start being a bit bolder, that you said earlier, is kind of what we need in the industry at the moment. So I will be sharing, when we share the podcast, when we share the video interview, I will be sharing all the details and a little bit more about it as well, because my view is, I coach within the recruitment industry, but coming back to what we said earlier, let's support each other. There is more than enough out there for all the different types of coaching and training that is available from all different people, for the recruitment profession to go and have a look, see what works for them, and choose which one. So I always like to support other people who are doing stuff within the coaching and the recruitment industry.
Well, thank you. I mean, video training is useful. Coaching, one-on-one or team coaching, is a completely different thing, and in my experience, far more effective. So I would rather, if you said to me, Greg, can I watch your videos, or will you come and run a training session? Which is going to work the best? Well, it'll be much better if I or you are in the room. But that's not scalable. It's great to have. It's not scalable. This is there all the time. You can put somebody on a session for a half hour and then quiz them on it, role play it. As new people come in, it's there. There's a library of material, but it doesn't replace the coaching and the training and the in real life type feedback that people need. So that's the best experience you're going to get.
Yeah. But as I say, it's a great place to start, and then you can use it. You can take what you're learning and share it with people in real life as well. So thank you so much. We'll include all the details so everyone can find it very easily, Greg. Listen, thank you so much again for your time. It's always an absolute pleasure to speak to you. I think we might have to do this every year though, Greg. Now that's we're going to put you in the diary.
All right.
For
Well,
as many more years as you've got.
Yeah, exactly. No, thanks. It's a pleasure to chat to you, and I hope it helps. And I'm to all my friends in the UK. I've got plenty friends in the UK in the recruitment industry. If any of you are listening, anybody, I'm glad that things are looking a lot better. The sun is shining on recruitment again compared to those dark days of a year ago. But I guess my final word is that the risk is that as recruiters and as owners, we're so excited that the market's come back that we just go back and do everything the way we've done it before. And I think that would be a missed opportunity. It might even be bordering on a tragedy, because there is a chance to reinvent our industry and our relationship with clients and candidates, and now's the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Great way to end. Great way to end. Thank you, Greg. And go and follow Greg. Go and have a look at his website. Sign up for his newsletters. They're always great. And if you ever need something to bring into your daily meetings, there's always a topic in there that's a great place to start to have those real life conversations. So thank you so much. I hope the sun keeps shining on you, Greg, and I shall speak to you again really soon.
Thanks, Rebecca. All the best to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
I am a woman, not here to please you. It's time to move on, cause my time is now. I am a woman, play by my own rules. I got my 2 feet on solid ground. And then